Hi! In this episode's playthrough, we're taking you to the first city. It's the first human colony in Enoch, established by the ECA shortly after their arrival. The huge structure in the background is actually one of the engines of the SM Flores, the massive spaceship you and the rest of humanity used to travel from Earth to Enoch. It was brought down to the surface of the planet to serve as a temporary power source for the colony. But when the first big anomaly storm hit the first city, the engine was damaged and at the risk of a meltdown. And after a few months of initial panic and chaos, that's exactly what happened. The engine's nuclear reactor exploded, blanketing many areas with heavy radiation. With the city having lost its main source of energy, and most of the water and food becoming unsafe to consume, many perished in the aftermath. After the anomaly storms, riots, and decades of war, both inner city and the slums surrounding it have long been abandoned by the authority and most of its inhabitants. This is hostile territory now, and many of them roam around, trying to scavenge for scraps while navigating through the pockets of radiation and monster nests. Our mission here is to find and obtain an old truck, which belongs to an important ECA scientist called Zahidi. Zahidi claims something on this truck holds invaluable information about the anomaly and the mysterious signal. For now, we only faced humanoid enemies on our path. But the first city will introduce us to a new threat, the Perforo. Like most of the monstrous creatures seen on Enoch, the Perforo was a pre-existing species that rapidly evolved by the corruption of the anomaly. And it was one of the first hostile creatures that attacked the colony in its early years. One thing is certain though, their strength is in numbers. Even a battle-hardened Outriders often left with only one option when facing the swarm: run. Let's join our pyromancer Nova and see what she's up to on her mission to find Zahidi's truck. Yeah, like I said, sometimes you just need to run. But not for long. Let's take a quick moment to talk about a pretty important feature: UI. We know that screen real estate is important to shooter fans. There's a lot of information that needs to be delivered, and players have various preferences in terms of the hierarchy of information. We're conscious that different people want different things from an RPG shooter. Some people like seeing everything, from damage, numbers, quest trackers to life bars and more, while others might want a more pure shooter experience. Everyone falls in different places on that spectrum, so we made sure to include options to customize your UI experience however you like. Let's see if I can clear up my screen a little. I really want to take in the view today, so I'm changing my HUD to a more minimal shooter style UI. Let's return to our pyromancer Nova now. She made good progress through the ruins of First City and is now heading towards a giant drawbridge. By the way, Perforo come in different shapes and sizes.
you, Sven. Let's take a moment to talk about dynamic difficulty settings in Outriders. Outriders has a flexible difficulty system called world tiers that allows you to fine-tune your difficulty setting at your leisure. This means that the game will organically find the right challenging difficulty for you, even if you're a skilled and maxed out player absolutely chewing through the battlefield with fully optimized gear. The idea behind world tiers is that you can make Outriders either a just here for the story game or a true hell on Enoch experience. It is totally up to you. Generally speaking, higher world tiers are more difficult as they increase enemy stats such as damage, armor, health, and enemy level. However, you will also gain more rewards, get better loot drops, and unlock more accolades. You'll start on World Tier 1 and scale up as you play the game, depending on your performance. When you eventually get up to the higher world tiers, you will get to a point where you will need to optimize your gear and build accordingly in order to continue to progress. Let's pull up the World Tier menu here and have a closer look. As you can see, world tiers can be manually adjusted on the fly, depending on how you're currently doing. You'll gain experience in combat towards unlocking the next world tier, should you be playing on the highest world tier possible for your character. This experience is separate from the character level but is accumulated much in the same way. Experience from quests doesn't contribute to world tier experience, but quest combat does.
Where is he?
Inside the bunker up the hill.
Here's the kicker though. Whenever you die, you will lose a percentage of world tier advancement. This prevents you from accidentally stepping up to even more difficult world tiers should you be struggling on the current one. You really need to earn your spurs here. Each newly unlocked world tier will also reward you with either a resource or a new rare, epic, or legendary weapon, and in some cases, both. Higher world tiers will enable loot to drop that is actually of a higher level than the player themselves. This starts at World Tier 4 and scales till World Tier 15. At the same time, playing on these same world tiers will allow the player to wear gear that is higher than their level while they are in that world tier. One final note on difficulty. The difficulty of the game and enemies will also be impacted by the amount of players in the game. This will ensure that the game remains challenging while playing in groups with friends, but it isn't punishing to the point of not being fun when playing solo. For now, things were a little on the easy side for us back there, so let's crank things up a gear.
Thanks, Lucy. Nova likes her enemies tough, so yeah, bring it on. One of the things we've been super mindful of during development is how all that background and exposition is delivered. We know that one of the pains of this genre is having to work to consume story. We don't want our lore to be a chore or an obstacle to immersion. So we've ensured that everything is on the disc and in the game itself. While exploration and talking to NPCs will deliver additional context and background, BIOS, backstories and lore are unlocked as you play, and can then be pulled from the menu at any time. So, say for example you want to learn about the first city and the initial colonization of Enoch, you can check it out right here. The next section will be pretty tough, so ask my friend and community manager Robbie to tag along for a little co-op action. He's sporting a badass trickster in a complete legendary gear set. Now let's do some real damage. We have a truck to find. In the interest of time and to keep some surprises for you, we're going to skip ahead a little now. Let's join the final minutes of the brutal finale against the portal-wielding captain.